goddamn 1089!
He's gone, sir.
Die.
Fellas.
Right, haves and have not fans, it's still the, shortly after the finale. It's the morning. It's barely been over 12 hours since the finale aired, and I've already made, I did the Thanos clip and everything, and I'm like, yep, Tyler Perry gonna be dusting people off, and Kevin Hart, pew pew, everybody gonna die. But I'm not here for that. I'm really here to just talk about, and this could still be alive, but I'm not here to talk about what ifs. I'm really here to talk about what we saw in the finale. And before getting started, let me just say, the debate between whether or not that was Veronica or Laura, this isn't the episode for that. I mean, the video for that, okay? We're on the mindset that Jim, Catherine, Benny, Veronica, David, Jeffrey Madison, Jeffrey Madison and David, we didn't see them die per se. We saw the explosion go off in the house. Mitch's fate is left up in the air. I'm really not going to talk about him in this, but again, I'm not talking Mitch. We're talking about the characters I listed before. This is my personal opinion. Like, of course, I'm going to tell you the ranking. It's going to be from 7 to 1, 7 being the lowest in terms of this was the most unsatisfying death, and number 1 being the best. And it's going to be my opinion. Of course, if you disagree, that's okay. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and we can have a good discussion about it. And before going forward in the video, please take a moment to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification icon to select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And please continue to help these have and have not videos blow up. Everything I posted yesterday is doing pretty dang well, if I must say so myself. I mean, the numbers don't lie. I got to do just a quick thank you. I mean, the video I did about that literally sounded like an anime title for like Dragon Ball Z. It's like Clash Superpowers Frieza versus Goku. I just wanted to do something like that. I've done that a few times in videos over the past couple months, but this was like, okay, it's the final showdown. I need to make this video sound epic, and it was. So let's get into it. Number 7 is Veronica. Look, again, where were you going, Veronica? Where were you going? I mean, there are a lot of good questions to ask, like Marco's warnings to Hart. Because when Marco left after giving her that warning about many enemies, we kind of got a shot of Veronica. Look, did Veronica really die? I don't really know. But if that was really Veronica dying death, seriously, not only was it just quick, but the fact that it happened directly after Catherine died, it just didn't sit right with me. It really didn't. And like Oliver, Wyatt, Justin, Benny, so many characters that need to die. But overall, there were a lot of characters who I wouldn't say I wanted them to die. And Veronica was obviously one of these people, because a quick death just was too good for her. Look at everything she's done. So that's why Veronica's death is at number 7, because it's just like, the Ice Queen went out like that. Like that. Number 6, tripled, and it went off in the house. Not much to say here. Jeffrey's stupidity. The fact that you let Tanner in the house was just stupid in itself. I mean, I get it. Jeffrey is usually dim-witted and slow in certain areas to the point where he makes Benny seem like a genius. Unlover, Justin die in front of him and try to take him with him, and then seeing his other, well, some threatening dialogue, but it just wasn't sinking in. I mean, the 5th, then you shouldn't have taken it, let alone you shouldn't have gave Tanner the address to David's house. Now, I'm not saying that technically Veronica couldn't have given him the address if the story called for it, but it was just dumb. And another video I'll do about the whole who could survive. David, in theory, could have been far away from the bomb enough not to have been killed, but like I said, that's another video on damage. If you want to take out Jeffrey, fine, but for the likes of Madison to be killed for no reason, responsible because, you know, her and Tanner had a few moments where it's like, oh yeah, he mentioned he, but it just didn't sit right with me because walks out, press the detonator, and that's that. David Harrington, folks. The golden voice of the haves and have-nots went out like that, like a punk. For nothing. Number 5, Wyatt. And this is kind of towards the middle of the list, not at the very bottom. Because let's be real, Wyatt should have been killed off a long time ago. If not killed off, he should have just been placed in rehab and written out of the show for a while. Seriously, because he almost died because somebody tried to kill him or him killing himself. But in this case, the pills he mixed, that is what made this death scene actually have some sort of impact when I think about it. So Wyatt, you know, not too much to say. We knew it was coming. Hey, it is what it is. We're kind of like, wow, you know, her drowning. It goes back to what Jim said. This is where it all started, Candy. Think back, Candace was responsible. And then she went over to the apartment and then they got into a fight. And they even broke the damn shower. And Jim was moments away from strangling Candace, but after seeing the pregnancy, it felt kind of appropriate to visit that in this final episode. And to have her drown them in a game of chess while everybody else, they had a part to play, but for the most part, they were all other pawns. It's just like, for Jim to have to when she was, you know, pretty much taking her last breath in the bath, I felt nothing because of the fact that, yeah, it's like I said in my videos, yep, Jim is off the deep end. He lost Wyatt. He's going to just go for broke against everybody. It just I didn't feel anything. I really didn't, because she stood up to the Malones. She got dragged away. Of course, when she got delivered, she was beaten up a bit. And she was even pleading for her life. Hey, I'll give them the money back. No, it's way too late for that. Wyatt's dead. So at this point, she's drug up the stairs, bleeding all the way, thrown into the pool. I mean, thrown into the tub. Jim holds her down. She's trying to fight back barely because, remember, I know some beat her up, guys. I mean, when she got thrown to the ground, she could barely pick up her head, let alone her body, to fight back. So, yeah, even though Jim had one arm in a sling, he was strong enough to hold her under until the bubble stopped. So it just seemed very lackluster for Candy Kane to go out like that. Sure, her death was more intense than Veronica getting shot down, but I mean, I wanted to feel something. Honestly, I wanted to feel something. And obviously, Candace became a foot. Number 3 was Vinny. 2 things. I actually did like the scene to an extent. I just don't think, sure, they agreed to the DNA test and everything, but overall, he just found out that, oh my God, I'm a father. All of a sudden, he gets a call from Rihanna with a sob story about, you know, Sandy coming after her again. And he doesn't think twice about going over to his new house to talk about something, where it's like, wait, it's the middle of the night. Can't just wait until the morning. I've already signed the documents. Isn't there some sort of thought process? No, he's thinking with, you know, the thing between his legs as opposed to thinking with his head on his shoulders. It's like, look, I just met a son I didn't know about. I want to get to know him, you know, as opposed to just seeing you again after we had dinner and, you know, had sex once or twice. So it's like, I don't understand the thought process there. There was none. It was just supposed to happen. So Benny got killed and that would be the end of the story. And another thing for me is the fact that he talked Sandy out of lowering the gun. It really just goes back to the fact that Benny, you know, likes to think as a, you know, street dude when he really isn't one. You know, I mean, this could have been a great scene of kind of a psychological scene of Sandy realizing that this is just the first of many, you know, like I killed Benny, but then what's next? You know, how many things is Don Benny going to give me to do that I'm not comfortable with? Or, you know, what's it worth because I killed Benny? That still doesn't take away the fact that I got my ass whooped. And I know some people still talk about Sandy being a punk because guess what? He was supposed to kill Benny alone, yet he had a group of guys do it. At this point, I think it's because he was already fed up with Mitch and The young family, he was like, you know what, they did Jim wrong, so I'm just going to take him out. I mean, hell, he even called Hannah potential collateral damage if she would have gotten shot. So it really wouldn't have mattered. I think it would have been more impactful if it was just Sandy who killed Benny. But, you know, to have like 3 other dudes just gun him down and then that's it. Yeah, that was kind of like, it was intense though, I will admit. I mean, not to sound too cryptic, but, you know, over the past year alone, when thinking about, you know, police brutality and, you know, black people being gunned down, yeah, it was kind of cringy to watch. Not that it was badly acted or anything, but in regards to like, damn, a black man gunned down by, you know, white people. Yeah. And no, I'm not saying like, oh man, Tyler Perry should be ashamed. No, I'm not saying that. It's just like, considering I've had time to watch it, plus they uploaded like a good amount of clips on YouTube, on the own YouTube channel, like Benny's death, Catherine's death. Jim and watched the clip because I watched the episode, but yeah, it was just weird. Hell, they ought to just do a compilation video with all the deaths. I mean, obviously I'm doing one right now, but yeah, Benny's death is 2, which was Jim, and I mean the fight was pretty intense. Like, you know, it could have gone either way because, I mean, my mom, as soon as Hannah was walking up the stairs and past the banister, my mom was like, yep, look, closing in on the banister. I'm like, oh, snap, one of them was going to flip over. But no, Jim, I mean, I think him and Hannah both fell down that first flight. And then Jim got up and started wailing on her and kicking her and, you know, was pushing her unceremoniously down the stairs and kicking her again. You know, Hannah got some good shit ahead with the shoe to get in their car, and you know, somebody was like, Jim cried, the only person to get killed by a car going to let go of the damn car. At least you have a chance to, you know, not only survive, but you know, you'll be on your feet. When he got hit and fell off the car, we literally hear him groaning because he was like the Joker. It's like, I mean, the entire scene was well acted, don't get me wrong. Like, I really do feel like this was some great performances, especially from Crystal. But, you know, we also saw a boastful Jim. It's like, you know what? I lost both my children. Now you know how it feels, Hannah. Now you know how it feels, even though he doesn't know Benny's dead yet. And, you know, he's pretty much gloating, and then Hannah's fighting him, Veronica, to the ground. But she couldn't beat up Jim, who literally had one arm. That was Catherine, because that was the only death that made me go, oh, man. Like, I felt that. And the acting was on point between Diamond and Catherine, but Diamond. So to have, wait, so it's like you have Catherine and like, oh yeah, fine, let's do this. Nay Lawless is obviously noticeably shorter than Diamond. And then when the fight starts, the bench, and she takes out the rope to, you know, strangle her. When you, I mean, I was shocked that to have Renee in that position, and we saw the expressions on her face, gasping for air as the life left her body. That's what made the death so intense. But the fact that the Veronica death, fire death, the #1 ranked death of the finale, because of the fact that it was really called it for months. People were like, Catherine needs to live, Catherine. Going back to what I said before, I'm not saying a lot of these characters deserve to die. And I'm not even talking about the ones who I wanted to die for such a long time and this and that. A lot of these characters need to face justice. Catherine, oh, it was like this and that, trying to defend it. How do you defend her gunning down Jennifer just because she wouldn't give back? It's the fact that, Jennifer, if you don't take the inheritance away, Wyatt's going to self-destruct. She was angry. So she deserved to be behind bars, but to be killed in such a way is a damn shame. Not to mention, remember, this is Jim's fault. He was the one that orchestrated it. Now, if it would have been way better in your cell. That would have been excellent. But no, they just opt to have it where Catherine at #1, Jim at #2, Benny at #3, Candace at #4. Feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App.